On this week's Tuesday Talk, we are answering the question, what were the top 5 mistakes we made while full-time RVing? Luckily, there weren't that many, so these really are our top 5. It's not like we had to really narrow it down. But they're 5 pretty big ones. They're big mistakes, so...
What you're saying is we've only made 5 mistakes.
No, we've made more than 5 mistakes, but these were the 5 big ones that would be good for other people to learn from us and not make.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, get started. I would say the first big mistake we made, which many of you watched, was not paying attention to our tires quite as much as we should have.
Tires are important. They're easy to overlook too, because as long as they stay inflated, they should be good, right? Well, it's not just the tread, it's the sidewall, and especially in warmer temperatures, if that sidewall has cracks in it or if it's starting to go, you risk you increase the possibility of a tire blowing, especially when you have so much weight coming down on top of it and you're going about 70 miles an hour, which is what I was going at the time, that our rear tire blew.
Yes. So it's the age of the tire, it's the sidewalls, the tread, everything should be checked. And you should check it probably more often than you normally would if you're towing a 10,000-pound Airstream or your rig behind you. Because you're putting more wear on the tires than you might think, and you have a better chance for a catastrophic event to happen. And so we check our tires, even though they're all new, we check them still quite often to make sure everything's looking okay, just to be safe.
When in doubt, change them out. And a pro tip, don't just change the one that you look at as all the others are fine, I'll just change this one. The problem is, you'll change that tire and then you'll have, the tires won't be in sync. Just like if one of your headlights on your car goes out, it's generally a good idea to change them both because the other one's probably going right behind it. So whenever possible, if you're changing a tire, change them all, especially if it's preventative maintenance. So, if one goes flat, you get a rock or a nail or something, you don't necessarily have to change all 4 then. But if one blows, or if you think one's getting old, your others are probably just as old.
Yeah.
And better safe than sorry, because that expense is probably not going to be as expensive as a blowout on the road where you have not only the tire to repair, but also your fender and other things possibly on your car or truck.
Yeah, or like you die. Number 2, if you're in doubt about your hitch.
Change them out? Oh, this is different.
Yes, if you're in doubt about your hitch, if you're having issues because of noises or creaking or anything like that, figure out what it is. We were having a bunch of problems with the hitch making all sorts of weird creaking noises and like popping noises when we do turns, and we were kind of new, we were newbies, so we just thought, well, maybe this is semi-normal. It kept happening. We did all sorts of preventive maintenance on our Hensley hitch, still happening, and then we finally figured out what it was. The hitch receiver on our truck was supposed to be held on with 4 bolts. And by the time we figured out that the receiver was not quite as tight as it should be, it was only held on by 2. Talk about scary. Right?
Yeah, that was hairy.
Yeah.
When we were in Oregon, that really hairy place that we got into, so would not do that again.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked, but that was probably pretty stupid.
Yeah. So we figured out what it was, and then we tried to fix it ourselves without the proper tools. What we ended up having to do is actually replace the whole thing and get it installed professionally. Again, the hitch is a major safety feature or part, or I don't know how to say that.
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement when you're towing. And so if there is any doubt that your hitch is right, is safe.
When in doubt, check it out.
Yes. There you go.
Another rhyme.
There you go.
When in doubt, check it out.
Because
and if you can't figure it out,
take it somewhere.
Take it to a hitch or a towing or an RV place. They might be able to I mean, they've probably seen all these problems
Yeah.
before, or at least most of them. So they might be able to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah, we ended up going to like 3 different places in Florence, Oregon, because the first guy said he couldn't weld it on for us because it was bent and we should get a new one. And we went to another store and they said, well, we don't actually stock this. We finally went to an RV repair place and they could get it for us and get it on for us.
And they go, oh yeah, this piece of crap is bent, which happened because of the two missing bolts.
Yeah.
And that last time we towed, that's where it was bent. It wasn't bent the whole time. It was that trip. But we definitely needed to get it taken care of.
Yeah.
Then. So, what was my rhyme?
When in doubt, check it out.
When in doubt, check it out.
Number 3. Bottoming out.
Yeah.
Airstreams are...
You don't have clearance.
Well, yeah, don't have a whole lot of clearance.
With Airstreams.
We kind of overestimated what we could handle in terms of ditches, steepness of roads, and we had a pretty nasty bottoming out incident in Idaho. And it was in Idaho, in Sun Valley.
Yes, Sun Valley.
And we learned a lot from it. One thing we learned is we're keeping extra blocks in our truck in case us or anyone else ever has an issue where their tires on one side aren't able to reach, so that we could inch our ways out of it using blocks. We had to go borrow a neighbor's blocks in order to get enough to actually get us out of the situation. So now if you're ever on the road and you see us, we have lots of blocks to help out.
We were entirely on the back end of the Airstream.
Yeah.
Tires on one side of the Airstream were not touching the ground. So we put blocks on that side,
And
so the
inched
tires basically drove forward on those blocks. We just kept moving them one step at a time until it actually hit ground, then we drove out. So, without a doubt, don't bottom out. And we have...
You're getting good at this.
Yeah. We have changed the way we boondock now. We won't boondock in those kinds of spots again, because that was kind of iffy, and we knew it was iffy. So from now on, if it's iffy, we don't do iffy. There's no more iffies.
There's no more iffies.
We need to be like, oh, this is fine, no problem. Let's just drive right in, park, and have fun.
Yes.
That is the way we boondock even now, even if that prevents us from getting into some spots. This is our home. We're not going to risk it anymore.
If you do want to get into those spots, there are options for you. There are rigs with higher ground clearance. You can also lift your Airstream, which we may eventually do. But
we put larger tires, wheels and tires, so
and
we got
helped
another 1.25 inches.
Yeah.
But we haven't done the actual suspension lift yet. I don't know. I don't really want to do that, honestly. But we'll see. If it comes to that, then we might look at it.
But for now, we're just no more iffy. Number 4, battery and solar and inverter.
Yeah, this just happened actually 3 or 4 days ago.
Which is funny, because the entire time we were boondocking in the wilderness, we were really good about this. But it's because we were not going back and forth, really, between having electric and not having electric. And so we just kind of lived on the boondocking inverter save power mode. When we came back to the KOA and we started going back and forth between sometimes having the 50 amp on and sometimes not having it on, we did this.
Well, yeah, and it was the main, what really precipitated this or caused this is we refilled both of our propane tanks at once. So we took them both off, switched everything over to electric, including our refrigerator, went and got the propane refilled, brought it back, plugged it in, and during the day, since we have so much sunlight here in Tucson, and we're paying by the month, which means our electric bill is separate. We pay for what we use. We generally just turn the circuit breaker off, or the power pedestal off at the site, and we live during the day on our solar. And then at night, we just switch it back. Usually it's not a problem, but that night, it was a problem because the refrigerator got left on AC.
Auto. Yeah.
So even with the propane in, I didn't switch it back.
Yeah.
So once the sun went down just a little bit, it probably started draining at 2 or 3. I mean, it was sucking
it drains a lot.
35 amps out, 2 or 3 p.m.
Oh.
It sucked probably 35 amps out at any given time, and our battery went down to 50%.
Which is the lowest
and we
it's
have
ever
AGMs, and you never want to let it get below 50, but we personally don't like to get it below 60 or 65.
Yeah.
So that was a completely boneheaded move that we just made
so
like
pretty
3
much
or 4 days ago.
what you need to do is if you are boondocking or if you are running things off of your inverter, your fridge must be on gas. It must be on propane, unless you have enough solar and battery power to run your fridge, which you might have, but we do not have. It cannot be on auto, because when it's on auto, if your inverter is on, this is how we're set up, it will run off of your batteries. If your inverter's off, it'll run off of propane. But as soon as you flip that inverter on, it's going to start drawing that 35 amps, right?
About that.
And just completely drain your batteries. So when boondocking, it needs to stay on gas and not on auto. Learning experience. At least we didn't ruin our batteries because of it.
So save your ass, use gas.
Okay, last one, number 5. This one's more of a personal lifestyle mistake. Some people, when they hit the road, actually are more active and lose weight. Some people, when they hit the road, are about the same. And some people eat differently and work out less. I'm going to let you talk about this because this is more yours.
Yeah, I put on about 15 pounds over the summer.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. And I kind of knew it was happening, but I knew we were coming back here too, and I get a gym membership again, and I just take that weight off like I'm doing now. But, I mean, there are ways to exercise from your RV. I got bands. There's also running and jogging. I really gave it my old college try. I think there's a video with me jogging in Idaho, somewhere in Idaho. Anyway, really tried to make that happen, but I am not a jogger. It's so boring. It's so high impact on my knees. Not having it.
And it's not just exercise.
Well, yes, it's diet, but I was getting to that. So there's far less exercise. With the bands, that's close. I mean, it at least gets me moving, but it's not the same as the gym.
And there's far less exercise for him because he is a gym rat. He likes lifting weights. If you bike, and that is how you work out when you're not traveling, you will probably get just as much exercise, if not more, when you're on the road. So it is kind of up to the person and your exercise routine. If you do yoga, as long as you do it on the road, you'll be doing just as much exercise as you were at home. But it is difficult to find a gym and do weight training while RVing.
And we were eating far more carbs and just not the same. So in the end, I put on about 15 pounds. Next year, we are going to look at making some changes. Maybe stay in places longer while I'll get a 2-week, a month, whatever membership at a gym where I can go there, and maybe eating more low carb. I don't know. We're gonna that is something that I have in my mind, and we're gonna make sure that best do the best we can, not let that happen again.
And the reason why we ate more carbs, because we didn't explain that, is we were trying to only grocery shop once a week because we were often in the middle of nowhere and grocery stores were like half an hour, 45 minutes away. And so we didn't want to be doing that very often. And with the size of our RV fridge, we cannot store that many vegetables. So we switched to a lot of carb-heavier meals with rice and potatoes and sweet potatoes because
it's cheap bulk stuff.
It's cheap bulk stuff, and we can get it and store it for long periods of time and not have to worry about getting to a store.
So that was mistake number 5. I can't think of a rhyme for this one.
For goodness sake, don't gain weight.
All right, let's do it. For goodness sake, don't gain weight.
Those are our top 5 mistakes we made while full-timing for the last 7 months. Recap, they were the tires, the hitch, bottoming out, your battery, and gaining weight.
There you have it.
There you have it. So if you have made a pretty big mistake while full-timing in an RV, please share it in the comments below. We'd like to hear about it so we don't make that mistake in the future. That's why we're sharing these, to hopefully prevent problems for you in the future. Yeah. If you have a question for a Tuesday Talk, also leave that in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.